All right, we're in week 2 of computer science in the science classes, and this week is heavily focused on coding academic vocabulary. We want our students to know how to code, but we also really need to focus on our students using the correct terminology when it comes to coding. And so I have prepared some of the simple but very important concepts of computer science into vocabulary terms. So we're going to talk about algorithms, sequences, loops, conditionals, variables, functions, and debugging. These are terminologies or these are vocabulary words that your students will be using quite often in class. So we want them to understand what these words mean. This is a PowerPoint that you have a link to, like I've mentioned before, and you can change this PowerPoint any way you want to make it more personable for your own class. I've also provided you with a student worksheet that actually has them working on describing another way to use this word or to give a definition. This is not simply putting the definition in their own words. We want our students to research on the laptop on what this word can be described like. For instance, an example would be algorithms. I've given them the definition, a list of steps that you can follow to finish a task. However, if our students were to describe this word to their parents, when they do the research online, they're going to start seeing that an algorithm is almost like a cooking recipe for a cook. They can use that recipe, go down the steps, and actually learn how to make a meal. And so they can start to describe to their parents an algorithm is just like a cooking recipe. That's very important for our students to start making those connections in a real life world, because then they start to relate to these words and can start using them comfortably in the class. I also have a box over here that I like my students to use citations. I want them to cite where they're getting this information from that help them come up with the other way to describe this word. I know we're focusing a lot on writing in a lot of our school sites, and so this is just one way of actually enforcing them to cite their evidence. This week is very vocab heavy, like I said, and this assignment could take the whole class period, or maybe for some of your students it's not that long at all. I do know that some of the teachers did request to go deeper with some of these words. And so also available to you are unplugged activities that don't require the internet or computer use whatsoever, but let's say you want to go deeper with something like loops. This is an unplugged activity that came from code.org that you can read through, and you can go deeper with getting into a word like looping. So here's unplugged activities for you that are free, they're there for you, and you can use them in any way that you want to get a deeper understanding of some of these words if your students need that. That's the week's lesson. Pretty simple, not too hard, but if you have any questions, please email me or call me.